Step on up, sit down, twist off that bottle top or crack open that can, and welcome to Porch Matters. This is Terry Cagle coming to you from my back porch. Yes sir, yes ma'am, the name of this show is authentic. On Porch Matters, our saying is this: big issues or just a friendly conversation, no topic is off limits. We take pride in being able to talk about anything with each other in an open discussion. Open discussion is one of the only ways to learn. Your perspective could be changed. You could change the perspective of others. Friends and family, welcome to another episode of Porch Matters. I'm glad you're here. As I come to you right now, it is Monday night at 9:50 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am coming to you live from the Porch Matters Studios, a.k.a. my back porch, as always. And normally, I would be recording this on a Sunday. However, the way my last couple of weeks has been very chaotic, to say the least. I'm not going to go into any details. But I did have a fantastic guest lined up to come onto the porch. And my guest had to back out a couple of times. One of which would been Sunday. Normally, I would say that's fine. I'll just hit the record button and share whatever's on my mind and whatever's on my heart. But I've also been able to tell, and I will be the first one to admit, I'm not a good enough podcaster right now to be able to come to you solo. I'll just go ahead and say it. My strength is having conversations with people. So, I was sitting there trying to figure out what to do, and whenever you're stuck and you don't know exactly where to turn, you always turn to your friends. You turn to the ones that are going to be there for you no matter what. That's exactly what I done. Coming up here very, very shortly is a returning guest. Not only a returning guest, but a former co-host. Melissa Stewart makes her grand reappearance back to the porch. And I was very happy to be able to reach out, and I was thrilled beyond belief that she actually was able to agree to do a very last minute conversation. Whenever I say very last minute, I'm talking about we recorded at 9 o'clock last night. And it felt just like old times. It felt just like it did talking to her the way we used to before Porch Matters was ever a thing. In all honesty, conversations with her brought about Porch Matters. I can't say it any plainer than that. The conversations that we had, I already had the idea, but just talking with her the way we used to talk all the time whenever she was living down here, we don't talk near as much as we used to. That's crying shame, and it's as much my fault as it is hers because that phone's got two ends. However, whenever we do get to talk, it's just like we hadn't missed a day. So, thank you very much, Melissa, from the bottom of my heart for helping a brother out. And I want you to come back onto the porch as often as possible. Now, before we get to that, it's time for the Porch Matters food review. Now, the food review for episode 60 is the legendary Green Top Barbecue. A little bit of history for you. Green Top Barbecue was started by Leo and Susie Hedrick. It was later ran by their son Richard. Now, it's being ran by Richard's son Tony. The original location was on, yep, you guessed it, Green Top Hill, on 78 Highway just across the Walker-Jefferson County line. Not too long ago, there was a fire in the building. Green Top's now located in the shopping center next to the Piggly Wiggly in Dora. They've always had some of the best barbecue around. Whenever I eat at Green Top, I always have 2 barbecue sandwiches. I like their pulled pork, as some people call it. But I prefer whenever I go there to order my sandwiches with the meat inside sliced. I also order their homemade fries, and their ranch dressing is some of the best ranch you'll ever put in your mouth. I always get the ranch to dip my fries in. And if you're around the Summerton Dora area and you're looking for something good to eat, Green Top Barbecue is always #Fatboy approved. Let them know you heard about them right here on Porch Matters if you would. I sure would appreciate it. The Would You Rather question for last episode was, would you rather take a plane to another country or take a cruise to another country? On Instagram, Stacy Fusion says cruise, of course. Be a Man Bam says plane all the way. 4 Boys says spell plane right. Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it. I was in a rush to make that poster, and I did a typo, and I should have corrected it, but I didn't. Thanks anyway for reaching out. On Facebook, Hiller Custom Woodline says cruise. Been on 2, greatest vacation ever. Cindy Arroyo says neither. I'll stay right here. Well, all right, Cindy. Marcia Davis says cruise. Janice Cagle says cruise. Kelly Curtis says cruise. My love for water. Thanks to all of you who commented. I really do appreciate it. This week's Would You Rather question. Would you rather fish at the dock or watch the water from park benches? My answer? Watch the water from park benches. I used to fish some whenever I was a kid. I'll be honest with you, never really been big on fishing. Not really big on fish, just to be honest with you. No, that sounds crazy coming from a country boy, but I can fish. And if I really put forth some effort, I can be really good at it. However, I'm 40 years old, and in my mind and in my head, I would just as soon sit there and just watch the water go by. It's just peaceful to me. And if I was to go fishing right now, honestly, if I threw a line out there off of a rod, the bait probably wouldn't, or the hook probably wouldn't even have any bait on it, just so I can sit there and watch the water. But what say you? Go to Facebook, go to Instagram, go to Twitter, and comment your answer below from where you see the picture. And I will be more than happy to read your response on the very next episode. Since I've already told you who's coming up, without further ado, let's get started. Melissa Stewart, welcome back to the porch, my friend. It has been way too long.
Well, that's just because you ignore me all the time, Terry. I can never get you on the phone.
Well, that's work's problem. That's another story. But we can get into it if you want to.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you.
I'm as busy as an ant these days. I don't hardly have any time off.
Yeah, one of those working ants that have just worked themselves to death.
Yeah.
Never take a break.
That's what I've been doing lately, that's for sure.
I know.
we can have a whole conversation on just that. You've been my therapist in the past. What else is new, right?
Why don't you lay down and tell me about it, Terry? I,
you
I,
you
ch-
you hadn't got enough time to listen to me,
I charge by the minute.
right? So how's life? Catch our listeners up on what's been going on with you. It's been a minute since you've been on the show. That's for sure.
Sure has been. Well, let's see. Um, I was also working with Midwest for a while. And then I came off the road because I got extreme road rage and I thought I needed a break. And they stuck me in the back corner. I was loading trailers for them and then they forgot about me. So then I left that job. And now I got a much better job where it still has its ups and downs, but I travel a lot more. Like right now I'm in Atlanta.
I am so sorry.
Yeah, if you drive a semi of any sort, so if you drive out here anytime, Atlanta is Atlanta.
Atlanta is definitely Atlanta. There is no doubt about that.
There's a wreck on all corners of the city all the time.
it's a crapshoot. No matter what time you go through there, if you're driving a truck, everybody knows if you're driving a truck.
Yeah.
Crapshoot. 1 minute everything's fine. The next minute you're stuck in 2 hours of a backup.
Yeah. 285 can go to hell.
Just tell us how you really feel, Mo.
I did. 75 too. 85. Man, I don't think there's any time in the morning or in the afternoon or the evening or whatever that there's not a slowdown at that interchange from 285 to 85.
No.
Nobody knows what they want to do.
Well, same thing with 20.
Yeah, 20's bad. But that one's got one, well, from 285 coming out of out to 20. There's just one exit ramp and it's 20 miles an hour. But that one still does better than the 2 exit ramps at 50 miles an hour going to 85.
Yeah, it's like the only thing anytime anybody ever wants to do the speed limit in Atlanta is on an exit ramp. The rest of the time, you could be in the middle lane running 85 in a car, and you're still going to get your doors blowed off, either on the left side or the right side. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the middle finger and or a horn because you're in the way.
Yeah, not only that, you can be going 85 and get your doors blown off. But then as soon as you get over to the right-hand lane, you come across somebody who's going 20 miles an hour under the speed limit. They don't know what they're going to do here.
The only place that I've seen that could possibly be worse than Atlanta is Miami. Miami is the same thing as Atlanta, except the cars that are blowing your doors off and giving you the finger and honking at you are usually Ferraris or Lamborghinis.
I suppose so. I've only been down in that traffic a couple of times, but I don't know. Chicago's pretty bad too. Nobody gives a rat's tail up there. Nobody. They'll block the shoulders. There could be an accident. Somebody could be dying, and there's people in all shoulders and all lanes trying to pass to everybody else at dead standstill. So they're not going nowhere.
I've been in Chicago one time. It was not in a truck. It was in my pickup truck, and it was on my little road adventure that I had in June of last year. Whenever we went up about 4,000 miles, I decided to be really stupid and go right through the middle of downtown Chicago in a pickup truck. And I don't think I'll ever do that again.
Chicago. I don't know what time of day you went through there, but that's not fun either. These people come across 5 lanes of traffic just to get over, get off the. This happens everywhere, though. I mean, I know people complain about this all day. Traffic sucks. We're all in agreement on that. Nobody likes sitting in traffic. It's horrible.
That's the only time I've ever appreciated a truck with an automatic transmission, though. I will say that.
Yes. They got me a little rental car because, they flew me out here to Atlanta. I have flown more this year than I have ever flown in my life.
And she's a big shot now, folks. I just want you to know
I'm not. Yeah, okay. No, I'm not a big shot. They just really needed my help. Yeah, this was an emergency, apparently. I was only supposed to be here for a week. And then the last minute they called me and was like, "Hey, we need you another week there because we can't get a hold of a driver." Now, if I call off, there's nobody else. I am the backup. That's what my job is. I just fill in
Are you
when they need
enjoying it?
help. Some days. I'm not a real big fan of this account, and that's only because I'm not real big fans of the drivers that are down here. I mean, they had 4 of them, and then one day last week or 2 days last week, all of them didn't show up. It's weird.
Yeah, well,
One of them got in an accident, and they were going like 5 miles an hour, and this lady just didn't see him and merged over into his trailer. Now, I've been in an accident before in a truck where somebody rear-ended me, and I swear I felt nothing. And I got hit at like 35 plus miles per hour. I barely felt a thing. But this guy called out for 5 days because his back was suddenly hurting. He was milking every bit of it. It was poor. I mean, I know he was lying. They know that he was lying. Finally, they said, "You're not getting paid for being off."
magically, I bet his back quit hurting, didn't it?
That's right. He came to work.
What's been going on, Mo, other than working yourself to death?
That's about it. I mean, my dad came back. He from Colorado. He's got real sick. He was in the hospital for a little while, but he's better now. He's staying with my aunt. I have been back and forth between Ohio and Alabama and wherever else they place me, Michigan. That's it. Again, with work, I don't have much of a social life. Oh wait, you know what? For Grace's birthday this year in Cleveland, Ohio, there's a restaurant up there. It's called the Haunted Restaurant. And if you like anything Halloween themed, and I mean like old Halloween movies like Freddy and Jason and all those characters, Ghostbusters is the place to go.
Really?
They got everything there is themed. Even their food is themed to like it, and it's pretty neat. I went there.
Well, what did you eat? I'm just putting you on the spot all over the place, ain't I?
Yeah, I think it was the Pennywise something, but it was like red waffles with red syrup, and then there was chicken in there too. We got there for the brunch menu. I wanted to go for the dinner, but I got brunch.
You went next to a storm drain when you ate this, was you?
No, thankfully. When we went, I mean, the service was good, but I guess they fell behind, and luckily they had, because I'm ADD. Ghostbusters was playing. Ghostbusters was playing on the TV up there, so I was like watching the Ghostbusters movie, waiting on my food, and I didn't even realize I watched almost the whole movie and my food wasn't there still. And they came out to tell us what's going on. And I said, "Oh, I forgot that I even ordered food. I was just watching this movie." And I was happy.
Have you seen any movies lately that you really liked?
I did watch Thor, Love and Thunder. I liked it better than I thought I would.
We love talking about movies between the two of us. If you've listened to any past episodes, what did you love about it? What did you hate about it?
I don't know if I hated anything about it because I really like Ragnarok too. When they came out with Ragnarok, I don't know, they just changed up how they filmed the Thor films.
Yeah.
And it was more entertaining. This one was also very entertaining. I don't know what I hated about it. I really liked that there were 2 Thors, and I liked the jealousy that he had. I mean, it was really cute. I just thought it was really cute how they played that storyline out.
Well, once again, that it was the meshing of about 2 or 3 different stories. You know how I feel about that.
Man. Oh, go ahead.
Well, it's okay. The main character or the main villain, Gore.
Yeah.
That story in itself is one of, if not the best Thor story out there. If you ever get a chance to actually read the comic, and we've had this conversation, we're both blue in the face.
Mm-hmm.
But the comic version of that story is just amazing. It takes 3 Thors to beat him.
Yeah, I do remember hearing something about that.
It took Unworthy Thor, which is the Thor that the very first Thor movie was based off of.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then it took present day Thor. Then it took King Thor. That happened in like 3 different timelines
Oh.
where Gore showed up with each one, whooped all 3 of them in different timelines, and everything else. Make a very long story short, and I'm probably butchering it. The 3 came together to to defeat him because he still had the God Killer sword and everything else.
Yeah,
So,
I like who they got. I like that Christian Bale played that part. I thought he did really well. He's one of those actors that in a lot of his movies you forget it's him.
he's a
You
very
forget
good
it's
actor.
Christian. Yeah. Well, Tim Curry is also right up there on those lines for me too. I love Tim Curry.
Yes.
He makes me laugh with all of his roles and the way he falls into it, or where he used to. I don't think he really acts anymore, but I like actors like that. Also, Anthony Hopkins. I forgot that was Thor's dad.
Odin.
I was like, yeah, Odin. He played Odin. Of course, he's also Hannibal Lecter. I mean, he's
Hello,
not
Clarice.
one of those. Hello, Clarice.
I'm surprised at this horror themed restaurant they didn't offer liver with fava beans and a nice Chianti.
They might have on the brunch menu, on the dinner menu. I didn't get to see the dinner menu. I want to go back to the dinner menu. But yes, that's one of my.
I really enjoyed the movie. I didn't enjoy parts of it. I wasn't wild about the whole Jane Foster being Thor part, but that's just me. I never really been a huge fan of Jane Foster.
I think that you just hate that actress.
It's not the fact that I hate that actress.
Oh, okay.
I've just never really been a Jane Foster fan. Yeah, and the Thor.
I thought you just didn't like Natalie Portman. Go ahead.
In the Thor comics and everything that I always read, him and Lady Sif were together.
Oh.
So
I don't know who Lady Sif is.
See, this is why you need to do your research. Like I told you.
I do.
What was it?
It's hard to enjoy them for what they are if I'd read them.
You'll be in the same boat that I'm in. I enjoy the comic stories more than I do the movies. But But I really did enjoy the show or the movie. I was able to sit back and try to enjoy it for what it was. Did you see how jacked he was, by the way?
Yes, I
Helmsworth?
did. What woman would not notice that?
Right. Yeah, I've been waiting on you to say, well, my favorite scene was whenever Zeus took his clothes.
Oh, that was hysterical. I laughed so hard. And he just stood there like, yep, this is the mighty Thor. Look at that hammer.
Jesus. But he was and it hadn't been released yet, but he actually got that big so he could play Hulk Hogan in a movie.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Just saying that he filmed Thor after he had filmed that, so he was still just jacked out the gills for it.
Yeah.
But
every time I see that man's arms, I'm just like, how? His arms are bigger than his head.
Right?
Yes.
What other movie have you seen lately that you just really loved? For me, second Top Gun.
I haven't got to watch that yet. I really want to.
Oh my God, Mo.
About it. I keep hearing so many good things about it. I had an old couple to me come up to me in Logan's restaurant. I'm sitting there by myself eating, and they just came from it.
I do that a lot.
They just walked up to me and was like, "Hey, have you seen the new Top Gun?" I was like, "This is random," but no.
Fantastic.
Like, you really need to go see it.
Honest to God, fantastic. The best piece of storytelling that I have seen in a movie, and I can't tell you how long.
Well, I heard that he actually was driving or flying the aircraft.
Yep.
Like he went through training to fly the aircraft.
Yeah, he did. All of them did. They were all flying. Yeah. That wasn't CGI or anything like that. If you whenever you watch any of the making of or the behind the scenes of those movies, or in this one in particular, that's what he talks about. They had flight crews that was following them around, whole 9 yards. If you've seen the actors in the cockpit, they were really flying it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
I cannot believe you hadn't seen that movie yet.
I want to see. I haven't got to. I want to. Just haven't got to.
Anything been going on in the world that you're wanting to talk about?
What part of stupid do you want to start with now? Oh my God, the stupid.
I know you like stupid about as much as I do. So if you want to talk about stupid, we can talk about stupid all night.
We could. I can't wrap my head around what half the world is thinking. I just can't do it. I tried. And I cannot.
What do you mean?
I get on Twitter just to troll Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi. I get on Twitter when I'm bored just to troll them.
Well, what's your Twitter handle? People might want to jump on and follow you.
It's Mowissa. Mowissa 23, I think.
Okay.
I'll have to give you a updated version on that. Oh yeah, but I go on just to put trolling messages on their pages all the time. It's like when Kamala Harris comes up and she says anything about anything that she's pushing or whatever, and I'm like, but that border though. Like, aren't you the czar? It's been 2 years. Where have you been? Why aren't you there yet?
Oh, it's going right according to plan.
Yeah, right. She has no idea what's going on there. It's secure, don't you know? To her, the border's secure. She said that. Our border is secure. And then right after that, you got immigrants saying, yeah, nobody's watching us. We just walk right across.
What'd you think about Texas and Florida and everybody sending immigrants up to these immigrant cities?
I don't know what these sanctuary cities expected to happen. I mean, clearly they've had problems from the get-go and been begging people for help, and they've been told no. But it's okay that Joe Biden flies people out in the middle of the night, but it's not okay that they tell them they're coming and send them to these cities. And oh man, the fits that they throw. Like, if you claim to be a sanctuary city, then be the sanctuary city you claim. Stop yelling about how you're mad that Republicans are trying to use these people as ploys. No, they're desperate for help, and nobody wants to say that.
Well, they want to say that the Republicans are using them as ploys, but isn't that what the Democrats have been doing?
Yeah, that's the only time they care about any of them is when it comes to voting time. And then suddenly they have all these things to say about immigrants and people of color and all this. The only time they care is when they want your vote. And then when they get your vote, they don't want to do anything for anybody but themselves.
There you go.
But that's the pattern.
Yeah.
And nobody else can see it. So nobody else can see it. The blind people can't see it. I say they're blind because they just refuse to see anything.
Yeah, they don't want to see.
No.
They don't want to see. It is what it is.
I have to keep my mouth shut a lot because, people, I want to just see people for who they are. And I want people to see me for who I am. But as soon as politics comes up and if I'm on the other side, I can't tell you how many times I've been screamed at and called racist and all this other stuff just because I don't agree with the liberal agenda. I don't agree. I just can't. They're like, oh, well, either you're diehard Donald Trump or you're diehard Joe Biden. There's no in between. Why can't I be in between?
Exactly.
Why can't you listen? I don't think Joe. If you listen to me, I can tell you what I can agree with you on, and what I don't. But don't yell at me because then I've lost all interest.
Right. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the whole Green New Deal? I've really been wanting to talk to you about that because I know how you feel about a lot of stuff. I'm really curious to hear what you think about that.
The Green New Deal, you mean the one that's been relabeled? What is it called? The Inflation Reduction Act? Because that's exactly what it is the Green New Deal, just relabeled with that.
Yeah. No, the brilliant idea of phasing out all combustible engines and going to electric by 2032.
Yeah,
that California is talking about doing. How stupid? How stupid can you be, Mo?
Well, I can tell you about how stupid California is because right now their grid They have been bragging about this grid.
Yeah.
And talking about how wonderful it is, and it ran for about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And they were bragging it's supposed to be all electric and all this other stuff. Well, when people dug into it, it was actually still more fossil fuel than anything, and less renewables than anybody thought. But everybody says that's a hoax. It's not. If you look into it, that's exactly what it is. It ran for 4 seconds by itself, and then it quit. Well, now that's pretty much what they're basing their whole grid off of in California. And they're telling people to shut off their air conditioning at a certain time. They're telling people that they can't run the thermostat over a certain degree. I think it's like 75 or 77. So they want people to stay in a hot house because the grid can't keep up with all these people. But now, this is great. Let's throw in all the electric vehicles that you need to charge on the same grid that you need to use to keep your house cool.
Yeah. The power grid that they've got right now can't stay on. They can't handle the load that they've got now. So now they're wanting to make everybody drive electric vehicles. And which let's do some scientific and logical reasoning on this. I know. Bear with me. You're never ever in this day and age ever going to be able to get away from or replace oil. Why? Oil or petroleum products, period, is in almost every single thing we touch. Paint, rubber, plastics, you name it, it's in there. Even lotions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're still pumping oil and still using oil for cars or whatever, for plastic parts, paint, and tires. Let's not forget the wonderful ion batteries that they're wanting to use that can't be reused. Once they go out, they're done. And a lot of it's got really nasty waste byproducts on it. So what are you going to do? Just dump it in the ocean? Oh, that's real green of you.
No, they have already in a country in Europe somewhere, I can't remember, but they already have an electric car graveyard.
Yeah.
Where it's just sitting there. They can't recycle any of it, but they say they can. They can recycle about this much of what they get. Plus, to make that battery, we're using more resources that we don't have just to make the batteries. But people don't want to think about the chips that are in everybody's cars. We can't even keep up with that.
No, we can't. We can't keep up with the chip that just rolls your windows up and down or moves your seat. Nope. And a lot of the car factories are having problems with that very chip.
Yeah.
So
I think Honda shut down quite a few times over this mess.
Yeah. Honda has, Ford has. About a year or two ago, Ford actually rented the Kentucky Motor Speedway, because they build F-150s and stuff up there. They rented the whole complex of the Kentucky Motor Speedway, had fully built F-150s sitting all around the structure up there, but because they didn't have no chips, they couldn't finish it.
That's crazy, ain't it? I didn't even know that. Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. But between what are they going? Our power grid, as far as the whole country goes, can't handle anything like that.
No,
we're 20 years away from it being able to handle that.
We're probably longer than that, but people want to act like it's right around the corner. It ain't. We still have a long way to go.
God forbid one of our enemies launch an EMP and set it off in the stratosphere over the top of our country.
Yeah, we'd be dead.
It'd send us to the Stone Age.
It sure would.
Our grid's not ready for anything like that. So why are they trying to put more on it?
Don't know. I have no idea.
As Jason used to call me a conspiracy theorist, let's do some figuring here. 1 + 1 = 2. Something's up. Why are they wanting to just totally destroy our grid? Because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Well, to me, it's more out in California. I don't even know what New York is doing, but I know California is like really big into trying to do this whole electric thing, but they forget that to charge a vehicle, you plug it into an outlet which runs off of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
But how the heck are you supposed to charge your vehicle if you get rid of fossil fuels?
Well, where do they get the majority of their electricity from?
Oh,
It'd be the Hoover Dam, right?
yeah, I think so. So they have a hydro-powered, yeah.
Yeah.
Electric, yeah.
I know the Hoover Dam powers Las Vegas and a lot of places out through there, but there's not enough water in those lakes to be able to do anything. So where are they getting their power?
There sure ain't.
Is it the wind farms that
That's
they've got
it. They
out there?
say wind renewables and solars.
Wind farms are crazy too. I'm sorry, but they are. I mean, I got to see a lot of them in the Midwest whenever I took that road trip. I'd never seen one up close. Fiberglass blades? Fiberglass ain't renewable. You can't do nothing with fiberglass. Whenever they break, they bury them.
Yeah.
You know, how much energy have they got up there in those generators and stuff in the middle of that whole big structure?
I don't know.
I mean, I can understand.
I have no idea.
I can understand solar. I really can. And I can understand wind to a degree. But if you're pumping in more energy to get the energy than you are actually getting, it's a waste.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, solar panels, I can understand. Wind, the way they're doing it, not so much. And electric cars, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Coal is still the cheapest way to get energy. Why? Still a humongous reserve for it in this country. We've still got a ton of it. And it's still cheaper to mine and everything else. It is what it is. Sorry. The natural gas reserve in this country is huge. Why can't we use that?
Oh, we have been. That's why gas prices went down the way they did. That's the only reason why he's releasing barrels from our reserve. He doesn't need to do that, but he did it.
No, those reserves should have stayed as what they were, the reserves.
Yeah.
You know, the way all of that went down, again, I'm a simple former truck driver, now dispatcher. Let's take what we've got in this country. We ship out 10 times more than what we use. Why don't we use our own resources, cut the rest of the world off? They can go buy their stuff where we've been buying ours if they're in that bad a need. And then we only have to buy what we need. We're using what we already got.
Well, right now the biggest distributor of fuel is Russia. Thanks, Biden. That was a Biden thing.
Yes.
And the entire European nation was getting it from Russia. And then, Russia started that war with Ukraine, and nobody seems to understand this, but Biden told the whole UN and everybody who was getting fuel from Russia at that point that they have until the end of the year to stop buying fuel from him. We are still buying fuel from Russia. And inadvertently.
What do you think was the reason behind all of that in the Ukraine?
I don't know. I've thought of quite a few things. I thought Putin was just trying to see how far he could go before Biden would react because, we have a weak leader now. There are claims that he was trying to regain Ukraine back into the Russian Empire, and Ukraine doesn't want to have anything to do with it. I've heard that Ukraine is actually very corrupt. I've heard all kinds of things.
I have too.
And then I've heard that Putin does not want Ukraine to join the UN or NATO. Sorry, he doesn't want, and that they were going to do a ceasefire and all that if Ukraine decided that they weren't going to join NATO, and Putin would withdraw all his troops. But then the U.S. stepped in there and was like, no. Like, what's the big deal? Just stop it. That's stopping the war.
Well, number one, from everything that I've understood, the Ukraine area is the closest thing, and it used to be part of the former Soviet Union, and it's Russia's access to Europe. That's
Mm-hmm.
the only port area that they have. It goes through I want to say it's the Black Sea there. It can actually go down to the Mediterranean.
Mm-hmm.
So, very strategic. And I also heard this, and I don't know how true it is, but I trust the source. A week after that whole invasion happened, I was sitting there with him watching the TV, and I was like, Russia's a very strong military power historically. And it's been a week and they've only gotten just that far. Because if you remember looking at the map, it wasn't a full scale invasion.
No.
It hasn't been from word go. And I'm not saying I'm pro Ukraine or pro Russia or anything like that. Honestly, I've got no dog in the fight. I don't care. But what he said was very interesting. There's a river that goes right through there, and there's a dam on it. Ukraine was allegedly shutting down the water flow and everything, and it was messing up the crops downstream that happened to belong to the Russians, and that's where they were getting their grain. I don't know how true it is, but I trust the source. Because after he said this, it kind of made sense. It was almost like Russia was doing it just to get control of that river and the water rights and everything, because they really hadn't pushed in any further. At least whenever I was actually paying attention to it. It might have changed since.
I've heard so many different things. I've also heard that so Russia has got a population of about 140 million people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge country with that much population, and it's all spread out. And now there's a draft that's going on in Russia right now. And these people are refusing to fight. I've heard that too. I've also heard... they do have protests and stuff going on in Russia right now about the whole draft thing. Like, nobody wants to go fight. And nobody wanted this war except Putin. But Putin is now declaring, or they're threatening to use nuclear power on someone. I didn't get that far in the whole conversation. I don't know, but he was threatening to use nuclear power on somebody. And I think my mom was talking about it. She was watching it on the news, and I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, well, hold on. Here's the thing. The only person who really wants this war is Putin. But he can't launch a nuclear weapon without the help of others. And it just takes one of them to say no.
That's true.
It's like Biden couldn't just launch a nuclear device on his own. He'd need help. They, have a way or a system set up to launch a nuclear device. It's not just a button. It's a lot.
He couldn't just get pissy and say, I'm just launching a nuke at them and just hit the button. There's a process you got to go through.
Yeah. And the idea is whenever the big nations set this up was so that if somebody did lose their mind, they couldn't just go hit the button and kill a whole bunch of people. They had to be well thought out and planned. Thankfully. But he is threatening it. And I don't know who he's threatening it to. I don't know if I didn't hear if it was Ukraine or if it was us. But that was kind of scary to think. Well, why? That's so stupid. Let's just blow up the world because I can't have Ukraine? I don't think so.
Well, speaking of well thought out and planned, this conversation was not at all. But
this is how we talk. People. We bounce around so much, it's ridiculous.
This type of conversation right here was the premise of Porch Matters, folks. Just throwing that out there. Before this show ever got started, me and Melissa had conversations like this that would last for 30 minutes, 2 hours, whatever. Because as she said, I made her be my friend.
Yep.
But Mo, I appreciate you coming back on the show. I want you to come back more often than just whenever I call and beg.
You didn't have to beg. What are you talking about? Listen, he called me tonight and was like, "Hey, you want to go on a show with me tonight?" I was like, "Sure, let me get to the hotel." And then I got stuck in traffic. That's why the whole traffic conversation took place.
I love you, Mo. You be careful.
You too, Terry. Yeah, you too.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
night.
You too.